Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. If you have not subscribed, please do so that you'll get a notification each time I upload a new video. Today I'm going to share my experience about my COVID vaccination. I wonder how many of you have had your COVID vaccination or are thinking about having it. I have had both my doses of the vaccination. The first one was in February. During the pandemic, there are so many conspiracies about what was causing the virus. One of the theories that really disturbed me was the one about how the vaccine was going to interfere with our immune system. When the government announced that it had approved one of the vaccines, I was very worried because my nature of work is classed as essential, and I knew I was going to receive an email asking me to book an appointment for a vaccination. That email remained in my inbox for a couple of days, and I was thinking about it. I was thinking whether I should take the vaccine or not, and especially like I have talked about all the theories that were flying around. A couple of weeks later, most of my colleagues had actually had their first jab of the vaccine, and I was among the few who had not submitted a request to have the vaccine. It got to a point whereby this thing was on my mind night and day, and I was very unhappy and unsettled about the whole thing. I woke up one morning, decided enough was enough, and I sat down, opened the email, filled in my details, and submitted a request for the vaccine. So 12th February came, I woke up with mixed feelings, got ready, and went to the center where I had booked to have my vaccine. There were so many people lined up waiting for the vaccination. I joined the queue. I was given a form to fill, and when you complete filling the form, you hand it back to the people in charge of the exercise, and then you sit and wait for your turn. When it was my turn, I got into the room. I was met by a nurse, and she took me through the process. She asked me some questions and just wanted to know if I was all right, if I was happy to have the vaccine. She told me about the side effects, the possible side effects, and what to do should I have side effects. She asked if I had any questions. I expressed my fears, my worries, but she was very professional and said to me that there was nothing to worry about. And after our little conversation, the nurse wanted to know which I was comfortable with so that she could vaccinate me. I chose the left arm. I think the nurse must have realized how nervous I was. She distracted me. She started talking about the weather and other things, and before I knew it, she had given me the vaccine. Once I had had my jab, I said to myself, it is done. So whether you're going to react, whether your immune system is going to be tampered with, it has already happened. So I got up, and the nurse said to me, the arrangements were after you've had your jab, there is a recovery room where you sit for 15 minutes just to kind of listen to your body. So I stood up and went to the waiting room for 15 minutes. I sat down. I was offered tea, coffee, or water, and I chose to have water. Sat down for 15 minutes while waiting, just in case I had an instant reaction or something. Those 15 minutes were very long, and I was expecting something to happen. I was expecting to probably start getting rashes on my skin, or I was just expecting something to happen to me, but luckily nothing happened. And after 15 minutes, I slowly stood up. The only thing I noticed while I was standing up was I felt lightheaded a bit. So I gave myself a couple of seconds, and then I think I was okay and just left the room. On my way home, I still had the same feelings, the same thoughts were on my mind. I remember saying to myself, what have you just done? Do you realize you just had the COVID-19 vaccine? And it was kind of terrifying for me. I got home, made myself a cup of tea, made sure I drank a lot of water, and everything seemed all right until bedtime. I tried lying on the left side because that's the side I normally sleep on, and this night I could not lie on it because my arm was really sore and it hurt. So on that night I had to sleep on my right side or on my back side if I got tired. And sometimes, you know, when you are asleep, you will forget and find you have rolled to the other side. But as soon as I rolled to the left side and tried to sleep on it, the pain was really much. And I woke up and realized, oh, that must be the arm I had the vaccine in. And then I would just reposition myself back to the right side. So as you have seen, the first jab, I did not have any reaction apart from feeling lightheaded when I stood up after 15 minutes, and then the arm was sore, so I couldn't sleep on the left hand side. But apart from that, everything seemed alright, and the following day I went about my normal activities. I had no reaction to the first dose. 12 weeks later, 30th April, I had booked the second dose of the vaccine. The drill was the same. I took myself to the center, joined the queue, filled in the forms, and then it was time for me to sit and wait for my turn. And again, I got into the room. I was met by a nurse who asked me a couple of questions, and she also asked if I had any questions for her. And I remember asking her that now that I'm having the second dose, does this mean this is it, that there'll be no other doses? And she said to me that trials are still continuing, and there is a possibility that in future we might need a booster. Therefore, even though I was just about to have my second dose, I might be called again for a booster. The nurse asked me which arm I would like to have the jab, and this time I chose the right hand. The same process again. Before I knew it, she had given me the jab. She instructed me to go to the waiting room and stay there for 15 minutes. So I went to the waiting room, sat down for 15 minutes, had some water, and unlike the first time when I stood up, I wasn't lightheaded, I didn't feel anything, and just proceeded on to go home. After having my jab, I went to work and everything seemed okay, but I did mention to my colleagues that I had just had my second dose, so that in case I started feeling unwell, probably they would know what to do. The afternoon shift went well, and I came back home and slept. Unlike the first time on my left hand, I couldn't sleep on it. With the second jab in my right arm, I was able to lie on my right side without any problems. Things were different the following morning. I woke up and I was very confused. I normally like going on my laptop to do one or two things first thing in the morning. I went, set up the laptop, and funny thing, I could not concentrate at all. My eyes kept wandering around. My mind was all over the place. I was just not myself. So I sat on the laptop and I could not concentrate. My eyes felt like they were hurting. My mind was all over the place, and I also felt very tired. It took me a while to link that feeling to the second dose of the vaccine. Once I established what could be causing this feeling, I shut down the computer, made myself some breakfast, just sat down and tried to relax. I went to work later on that day. The fatigue was there. I would get moments where I was kind of losing concentration and my mind wandering off, thinking of other things, which is very unusual about me. It's something that was very different. Looking back, I can now tell that definitely I reacted the second time I got the jab. And later on that day at work, I also had problems with my tummy. I kind of had a runny tummy, which is very unusual for me. So guys, that was my experience with the COVID-19 vaccine. Like you have seen the first one, I felt lightheaded when I stood up in the waiting room, and then later on that evening I could not lie on my left side, which was the arm that had received the first dose. And for the second dose, I did not feel lightheaded. I took myself home, slept even on the right arm that had received it this time. However, the following morning I felt confused, my eyes could not focus, and later on I had an upset tummy, kind of like my tummy was running, and I was also very tired. So that's it. I don't know what you felt or how you reacted to your COVID-19 vaccine. So that was my experience with the COVID-19 vaccine. I don't know what you have decided or whether you have already had yours. Whatever you decide, I think it's going to be a personal decision. But I think for me, I am now more confident even as I step out there. I know I got some form of protection, and even if I caught the virus, my chances of survival are going to be higher as opposed to when I had not had my vaccination. Right guys, take care of yourselves and I shall see you in my next video. Bye bye for now.